a free 30. Randy and those guys, they took off.
I'm going to Louisville Monday morning with Yusuf.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're coming flying to Salt Lake at 5:30 Thursday and drive home Friday.
It'll be humid.
You know, I'll bet it was humid down there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it will be. It rained every day,
Did it?
you know, and then it just felt like you were walking into a shower room. Nobody turned on the fan when you're walking outside. So,
Yeah.
pretty hot, but it was good. Did get lined up for that grant. We'll get around $50,000 on that grant.
Which one?
It's an economic mobility to work with small businesses here. Get a small business program going.
Leland and Tammy, who else was there? Remember?
Leland, Tammy, Jack, Eaton, Wade Eaton out of King County.
Wade.
And then that other, it wasn't Celeste, it's the other one. She was
Patty?
Yeah, King County.
Patty?
Yeah. And then, who's that? Garfield.
Jerry Taylor?
Jerry was there. I'm the worst at names. Who's the heavy set guy that sits in the Marine? It's on CIB board with you. I think it might be Carvin.
Carvin?
Carvin. Heavy set guy. Who's the heavy set? Younger.
Oh,
I can picture him. I can't think of his name.
was he from San Pete?
No, he's from one of these.
Is he from Richfield?
Mineral. No.
Yeah.
Sam was there.
Oh, Greg Miles.
Greg.
already?
Yeah,
He's
Greg.
from Duchesne.
So Greg
Has
was
it
there.
been
Was he?
advertising?
Yeah, they sent it out to all the attorneys,
Oh, good.
and then you have to wait 10 days.
And that's Brandy and those, obviously Brandy and her crew were there.
And also,
He had Brian Rogers and all those guys.
He had Bob Stevens, so their whole crew, all of Davis County was there. Randy, Bob,
Yeah.
then there's a third.
Lorraine, she was there.
The third one is
Salt Lake,
Brandon Davis.
Uncle Perkins.
Salt Lake County, that
Yeah.
she went, the mayor,
Jenny.
Jenny Wilson, she was there. Yeah.
Of
So
course she was.
nobody from Iron. Didn't see anybody from Washington County. That young, the new one. He's got that blonde hair, heavy set.
I have
He was there.
Been compiling a pile, and it's getting bigger. But it'd be nice to kind of.
No Washington County.
Just the one.
And I usually don't
Adam.
talk
Yeah,
to my daughter
he was
about
there.
things, you know. I mean, I don't go. They receive. So I
So
try
pretty
not
good
to
Utah turnout.
Yeah.
interfere with
Sounds
the
like it.
capacity, especially when you live in the same house. Sometimes kind of hard.
It was funny listening to him. Public lands. Hawaii was there and said hello when they came to WIR there in St. George. Same crew showed up there. They're always a fun group of people. So that one that ran that, she won that.
Yeah, that's what I
Mechanical
understood.
bull
It
contest.
was supposed to be
Between her
the
and
Or
Leland.
you have to pick if it's
She was there.
3 or less, you can.
We're all making fun of her.
And no kidding.
Yeah,
um,
funny. Just amazing how some people like that stand out. Amongst the crowd.
You know what Jamie is? He on his way.
He should be. He said he's gonna be here.
Matt, is Jamie on the way?
Huh?
Is Jamie on the way?
I don't know. I don't know.
Ask Matt. Matt.
So yeah, just to make it easy on them.
Oh, yes. Good morning. morning.
Hey, Jane. How are you?
Buenos dias,
Buenos
señora.
dias.
Ready? Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call our Board of Commissioners meeting to order for today, July the 16th. So welcome, everyone, to our monthly commission meeting. We'll go ahead and do a roll call real quickly. Start with Commissioner Adams,
Here.
Commissioner Stubbs,
Here.
Commissioner Harvey. I'm here, so 3 commissioners present. So everyone's accounted for. Next on our agenda is our invocation. So, can we call on the public too?
Ask for a volunteer.
All right. So I'd like to ask for a volunteer out there in the public if you're willing to lead us in a word of prayer. We sure appreciate it. As you know, as leaders, we need that. Kurt?
Where do you want me, right here?
Right here.
Thank you much.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be able to meet in this type of setting. We have concerns that we need to address this day and pray that we can be civil one to another, pray that we can get our point across, pray that we can listen and understand one another, and pray that we can leave with better resolve to try and improve life here in San Juan County. And we give thanks for the opportunity to live here. We appreciate the rain and the things that have been given to us to help us sustain life, and pray that we can continue our livelihoods here. We pray for these things at this time in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Kurt. All right, if you'll stand with us, rise. We're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to our conflict of interest disclosure for the commissioners. Commissioners, I'd like to ask if, after reviewing our agenda for today, if there are any items that may be a conflict of interest for you, that now's the time to declare. I can start.
Had no conflict of interest.
No conflict from Commissioner Adams.
I have none
No conflict for Commissioner Stubbs. And for myself, there is no conflict that I can tell. So I don't also have any conflict. Thank you, Commissioners, for that declaration. We'll move on to our public comment. Mac?
All right, just as a reminder, public comments will be 3 minutes apiece. Looks like we have a list of several of you that have signed up for the public comments. Just as a reminder, this isn't an opportunity to deliberate with the commission. This is your opportunity to be heard by the commission. With that 3 minutes, if you have somebody, that makes a statement, please try not to be repetitive in your statements so that we can hear everybody in the room today. And also keep your comments orderly and civil as we go through this process. Currently, we don't have anybody online, but if there's people that'll pop online, we'll also take their public comments as well. And so we'll watch for that. First one that we have that signed up on here, I've got Jonathan Wright. Also, just as you come up to the podium, introduce yourself, your name, and which part of the county that you reside in.
I can start now.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Jonathan Wright. I live in Moab, Utah, but I have farms, and I was born and raised in Monticello, and I have a farm out east of Monticello, and I have property in Monticello. I appreciate the invitation, or not the invitation, but I appreciate the opportunity that I have to address the county commission. I know Commissioner Adams, I know Commissioner Harvey, I know Commissioner Stubbs. You just now see our new county attorney and our auditor, Lyman Duncan. I'm missing Mr. McNeely. I guess he's not here.
McNeely is an attorney, or no, sorry,
McNeely's
McNeely is a
liaison, he's not
employee,
a
man.
member of the commission.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
sorry.
I'd like to recognize a few people here today. Laurie Mon, right back there. She's our commissioner-elect, I guess you might say. Mont Perkins, he's our or former weed control boss. The USDA people are here from the Farm Service Agency. Aaron Frost, Will Murray, and we have Dove Creek, Dolores County weed control boss here, Oma, and we have the Colorado State University ag agent here, Gus, and we have John Johnson's grandson, Legend Gines, and his father, which is also on the weed board, Dennis Gines. We have Kyle Fulmer here, a big farmer. Kurt Lewis here representing the Lewis Farms. And I think I got everybody covered. I invited a whole bunch of people to come today, Frost and everything. But anyway, let's get to it. I got 3 minutes. I've got Kelly Pearson monitoring this whole thing on Zoom at the Utah State Ag thing in Salt Lake City. There's a lot of second and third generation farmers that are here, and this subject. Let me back up. I'm not really a public speaker. I spoke at Bob Dalton's funeral about 2 years ago in Vernal, Utah, and everybody up there said I'd done a hell of a good job. I never spoken really in public before, but I'm just so happy to be here to address a really important topic, and it's weeds and weed control. Okay. I'm here just to address the San Juan County Commission on weed control and to make them more aware of weeds. I'm not here to roast anyone or to make or to belittle anybody. I do come up here about once a week from Moab to go to my farm or go take care of business here in Monticello. And as I come up top of Peters Hill, I see morning glory on both sides of the road. And I'm just on the highway, and I get to the airport, and it looks like a West Texas cotton field in bloom with all the morning glory flowers in bloom. And even on the west side of the road, on up there towards Clay Hill, it's just solid weeds. I mean, solid morning glory. I come through Monticello and I go east from Paul Sondreger's shop east, just on the side of the road. I'm seeing like Christensen's place is just solid morning glory. Just east of Paul Sondreger's property, solid morning glory. From there, clear to Mariagan's land out there that across from the port of entry is solid morning glory now. It just happened in the last year and a half. It's just solid morning glory. And I think it's leased from Benyon Red, maybe still has a lease on that land, or owns the land. And then Robert O. Anderson owns the other part, but it's leased to, I think, Gary Halls. And as you go east of Monticello, it's just more of the same. The morning glory, Russian knapweed, Canadian thistle, ground cherries. What I'm really here for, actually, is I like to see the county commission declare an obnoxious weed declaration emergency. And the reason behind that, if you're farming organic ground, which everybody does in this room, I believe, And if they start spraying, if they have to spray for obnoxious weeds, they can lose their organic certification, which is about 3 times the normal across the board rate for wheat. And they can lose that, and it costs, and across the board wheat per bushel, this for non-organic wheat, it's about $5 to $6 a bushel, and that's about what it costs to plant and produce that wheat. It's about $5 a bushel. So if you're making zero, you're going out of business. We got like 3rd and 4th generation farmers in this room. They're going to be out of business. You can't produce wheat for $5 a bushel and make any money. There's some of the farmers, landowners don't have the resources to purchase a herbicide, and we understand that. So that's the purpose of the declaration. That's the purpose of the emergency declaration, is we need to get some money somewhere, say $2 or $3 million to buy herbicides to control these weeds. We're going to lose a major industry in San Juan County. All the farms out east, the people in Dove Creek, they're on the other side of us, and they're doing they're in the same threat right now.
That's time right there, sir.
Okay. Mont Perkins is here. He can tell us the county commission on what the laws are.
He's on the list, so we'll get to him.
Yep.
Awesome. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one on here is I've got Gus Summer. All right, Gus, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. Oma Fleming was invited, and just to give a brief overview of the Dolores County weed programs and kind of how we do things and what we've seen as successful and some of the challenges that we face. So Oma asked me to come along with her, and so we work out of the same office and work very, very closely together. Oma is definitely the manager of the Dove Creek Mandatory Weed District and the countywide weed program. So the difference, brief history, in 1983, a group of producers got together and put together the Dove Creek Mandatory Pest Control District is what it was originally called. Now the Dove Creek Mandatory Weed Control District. But they were able to put this group together, and they were able to get a mill levy passed. And so it's one of the oldest weed programs in the state of Colorado. And we're, of course, very proud of that. And once again, it was all of the producers getting together, understanding the needs for these issues to be addressed. And in 2018, to comply with the Colorado state noxious weed laws, the county implemented a county-wide weed program where the weed district does enforce noxious weeds across the county. So the mill levy district is actually on the east side of the Dolores River, so that encompasses most of our cropland in those areas. Let's see, I think the biggest thing that we've seen that really allows the success of that program. One, enforcement is a big piece of that. However, education is also another very big part of that. Educating landowners and the importance of natural resource management, noxious weed control, those kinds of things. But the other side of that is with that mill levy, the mandatory weed control district has, of course, employs a commercial applicator, but not only does that applicator work on county-owned areas like road right-of-ways and things like that, but they also do custom spraying, and that is a huge benefit to landowners. And so whenever somebody gets, say, a weed control notice in the mail, the weed district then follows up with additional resources, and through different sources of grant funding through Colorado Department of Ag and Colorado Parks and Wildlife, which have been great partners with the district, they are able to cost share on chemicals, cost share on labor, and allow landowners to have some avenues to help take care of the issues. So therefore, these things are not put on the landowner's shoulders by themselves. These resources are available, and I think we've done a really good job of making sure that they're aware of those resources, and a lot of people utilize those resources, which is great. And probably one of the biggest challenges we're seeing is we've got a lot of folks moving in, from across the country and tending to buy the most problematic are those 20 to 40 acre parcels that are embedded around our ag land. And most of the time, those folks are not natural resource managers, and they are not aware of how to address issues or the issues that come from not addressing things like noxious weed problems. However, once that educational portion comes in, I'm able to work with those landowners and get across that understanding of the impacts that they're having on their neighbors by, say, doing nothing about a problem. And that educational component, and once that mindset is there, we really see a big difference, and they're able to step up and work with us. So,
Thank you. Appreciate
absolutely. Thank you.
That. See, I've got Leon.
Well, I'm here representing Johnson Farms today, and I just wanted to make sure that we could at least get some educational stuff that we could send with the farmers or the landowners that would help them get to where they could control these weeds and stuff, knowing, because Joff is right, in San Juan County, if we don't have an organic farmer or organic farming, there's no way that we can make a ag economy here in the San Juan County. And with the price of tractors and everything the way they are, there's no way that we can afford to farm here on a conventional basis. So if we can't get other landowners to at least be educated on what they need to do with their weeds, and even it goes past weeds onto pests such as prairie dogs and stuff, which we're not here to talk about today, but there's a lot of things that we need to take care of, and we at least need to start with the noxious weeds so that we can keep organic farming and the organic ag market here in San Juan County. That's about all I got to say.
Next one we got is Kyle Fulmer.
If you closed your eyes, you would have thought that was Johnny Johnson speaking.
Well, close your eyes. This is David Fulmer talking here.
Okay.
Third generation, I'll be nicer than my dad was. But he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that is said here. I am one that has fought and fought and fought, and everyone knows that I am anal about this subject. My dad used to use a 1 gallon sprayer, 1 gallon. And we used to, first we were educated on what worked. I don't have all the time in the world to come back to a problem. I want to eradicate it. I'm not gonna pee on it. So I'm gonna find the most strongest stuff to hit it. I run 10,000 acres, and I'm proud of Dove Creek. I farm over there. They got the fear of the landowner. In 10 days, they're calling me. They found a spot, or they found something in even a creek bed. They have got the fear of the landowner that they're going to do something, whether it goes back to their taxes or how is this controlled, and why is the ground over there so much more respectful of what is happening in San Juan County. I can go from community to community and talk about what I see. Norwood, it's all knapweed. They let it go. Bluff, it's all knapweed. They let it go. There's no enforcement. How can I be nice to my neighbors that don't give a rat's crap about what I'm doing? If we can't get the Division of Wildlife, I don't let cattle on my ground. That is the worst thing that you can do. That spreads it. Especially when we have emergency grazing on the soil bank that has been the downfall of all this country around here, because why? They didn't make any money off it in the first damn place, so they put it in the soil bank to get a payment. And that goes all around because I'm so wise in what is going on here. Morning Glory, if it goes to seed, it will not sprout for almost 20 years down the road. Why do I still have little issues? I still use a 4-wheeler sprayer. I don't have a big boom sprayer, but I go over my ground 3 times a year. Every time. I can and say that my ground, I'm proud of what I've got. But my neighbors, what does it cause? Walls. Why are we differing in this country? Because we have so many difference and not giving a rat's crap. I have so many landowners that are full of it. I don't let cattle. You don't see too many cattlemen here because they think it's protein. It has been something that has been ignored with the government. And if you're going to start enforcing it, then you go after the government first, because everyone says, why are you picking on a cattleman? You go after the people because they're breaking their contract or the soil bank contract too. I've been trying to get the pressure to, who are you going to press the button on first? You go right after the government that's giving that subsidy out to outbidding us jobs. They're outbidding me jobs. That making people lazy, and it's making people of down the steps of kids that buy ground that don't know anything about noxious weeds. It's not going away. And if you guys can't see it, please listen to us, because it's an economic impact of, honestly, every bit of ground is losing value. And ever since the damn soil bank has come around, I call it the CRAP program. It's the worst neighbor you can have. It ignores it. It ignores it. Start enforcing it.
Thanks, Mr. Palmer. Let's see, I'm going to skip down. Let's go to Mr. Lewis.
That didn't really sound like Dave Fulmer to me.
Kurt Lewis, I think most of you know me. Here's just a couple thoughts. We're losing the battle with what we're seeing with noxious weeds. I'm with Kyle. It's a tremendous time consumer. It's getting worse and worse. My suggestion would simply be this. I think that Dolores County has something figured out. It would be wonderful if there was the opportunity for the county to help discover maybe what they're doing that works. That would be my suggestion. And see if we can't get some collaboration with whatever entities that they've seemed to have found success with. I think part of the responsibility with owning land is you have a responsibility that if you're going to own it, then you need to take care of it. And people who have noxious weed issues who won't take care of it, it's impacting everybody around them. And I think that that's a reasonable expectation, is for the county to say, we're not asking to reinvent the law. We have a law, we have a policy. It's just, is there a better way to get better results than what we've been getting? That's really my point in being here today, is to see if something else can't be done. And if it means that something's added to a tax notice, I guess that's a responsibility of owning ground. That's part of what comes with it. Whether I don't like having to spend extra money out of my pockets to spray on my own place, but I know if I don't, that the alternative's worse. And so that would be my suggestion, is that we really get serious about this, because we the way it sits right now, we're losing. It's a slow death, but we're losing it. And I think part of what the county can go after as well is the Division of Wildlife. Neighbors are tough, but deer and elk are worse, because they eat it and they poop it out, and there's nothing to contain it. And it's everywhere. And so I think that they should have some skin in the game as well, to see if they would pony up some money to help offset some of this. So whatever avenues we can go after, that would be my hope. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Dennis Glines. Right there.
Well, I'm on the weed board for Monticello and the county. I live here in Monticello. I farm here in Monticello with my son and my ex-father-in-law, or their family, anyhow. I know that we can't survive without people recognizing and understanding that they need to control their weeds. We need to have a better program and ability and basically teeth to go from the weed board position. We need more teeth and a better ability to go after these people who are not controlling their weeds or only want to partially control their weeds. And I understand that the weed board or the law says that it's only control, but control means that that it doesn't go to flower for the morning glory. It doesn't go to seed. Yeah, they can control it with grazing cattle. I mean, but the cattle poop out the seeds. At least it keeps it on their property. If it goes to having animals such as deer and elk and rabbits and birds and all that eating the seeds and then transporting it around the county, that's a different story because it went to seed. We need to stop this process before it goes to seed and control it rather than just ignoring it or going to the legislation and then having to go through that process 2 or 3 times with the same people every year. And the soil bank is a big problem because you don't see it until it goes to seed, and then they're not in compliance anymore. We have had some help from the U.S. or the government agency, the extension office here in Monticello to help get some of the people to recognize that there's a problem, but they're only able to put a small portion of their CRP program towards, or their CRP payments towards controlling their weeds, and that's only able to control it on the borders, and the rest of the ground is becoming lost, and the animals are transporting it across the fence. So I need to, as a weed board person, I need to know what we can do to get some teeth into our program that we can actually prosecute, because we've tried it before and wasn't able to do so. We wasn't able to spray the people's ground because it became too late in the season to do any good, and then it would have been a waste of time. And then we have to start all over from scratch in the next year. And I think that's what I've got to say.
Thank you. Next one, I got Monty. Welcome back, Monty.
Things have changed.
We don't have a table anymore.
Yeah, got rid of the table, which this is good. Monty Perkins from Blanding. I used to work with the weeds here in Monticello or throughout San Juan County as the weed board or the weed manager. And I've spoken with Oma quite a few times, trying to get pointers from her and on things that we could do different and things that we could change. I talked to Frank, who is the weed manager now for San Juan County. I thought he was going to be here today, but he's out spraying weeds. Good for him. But anyway, trying to figure out what to say that hasn't been said. I know that education has been talked about, and to me, education is a big thing for a lot of these farmers and a lot of people in Monticello, Blanding, and the cities. They don't understand and know what noxious weeds are. And it's really terrible. You drive along the highway going from Montezuma Creek to Aneth, and pretty soon that road's going to be covered up with Russian thistle, everything's Russian now. But anyway, I know all the farmers out here. I know which ones care about their weeds. I know which ones don't care about their weeds. Is there any way that the county can do what Jonathan talked about and what'd you call that, John? Emergency declaration, where we could get some money from the state, $2 or $3 million to take care of this problem. A lot of the farmers can't afford it. The ones that aren't in noxious weeds, they're slowly just dying out, or in organic, they're slowly dying out. And they can't afford to spray their ground. The chemicals are so expensive, just amazingly expensive. But I talked to Frank. Frank says that he's got a big grant. He's had a big grant for a couple of years. He wouldn't mind helping people out, but his big grant was probably $10,000 worth of chemical. We just need to get the state involved. The whole state's got a problem. It's not just San Juan County. You drive to Provo, you drive on up to Cache Valley, and they're 10 times worse than we are. But Cache Valley has 26 employees on in their weed department. I talked to Frank. He's got 3 this year. We only had 2, and Frank and me when I was there. We've got to get him some help if we expect him to get on top of all of the weeds. He's doing a pretty good job, but we've got to get him some help if we plan on helping the farmers. And I would just like to see us proactive. I know what Kyle's talking about. That's the calmest I've seen him in years. And he's a great farmer. He knows his stuff, and he takes care of his property.
That's time right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Monty. Next one I have on here is Will Murray.
I didn't know I was signing up to talk, but
You don't have to if you
I'll
don't
throw a
want.
little information. No, I take any opportunity I can to talk.
Talk.
Sometimes it's even on topic. I'm Will Murray and I'm a resource conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service down at the service center here. Partner up with Aaron Pettit, who's the new CED running the FSA side of things. And I just want to throw out, I can't take sides in any of this kind of a thing in my position, but we do have people that work with us. It's a process. Someone applying today for some assistance on herbaceous weed treatment. We do have some reasonable rates. We've got biological treatments. If you wanted to use bugs and you don't want to use chemicals, we've got we can help payments, cost share payments on mechanical treatments and stuff. We also have, the herbicide treatments. So I just want to let everybody know that we are here to support any of it's one of the things we do is here to support any weed control especially and our efforts are on the identified noxious weed list that the state has. So, we're in your corner as far as all of you producers and everything. Like I said, come into the office. We can start a discussion, that kind of a thing. I think it would be a great opportunity, for the county to be able to get on top of things, because I live over in Dove Creek, and I do know that they have that they're very proactive over there, and so it'd be the nice thing maybe if this county was, working with them, trying to get things together. But we're certainly offer our services as well, such as they are. So, thank you.
Next one. Aaron, I have you next.
Do I have her time?
I didn't know I was on the list.
Okay.
I have it.
Can you have the Tommy? Usually we just give once. If you have a parting statement on there, Aaron, I think Aaron has some pretty good programs in NRCS.
Well, we do administer CRP. So then the question becomes the amount of money and time it takes for our producers to fight noxious weeds is really unreal. And it is a losing fight. We talk about education, but also just money. They need money. They need money and education. We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you there. Anyone else? Did you want to speak? Okay, come on up. Just state your name and we'll get you on here.
Well, I think everybody knows I'm Alma Fleming by now. I do want to say that probably the reason my program is so good is because everybody backs me. My commissioners back me. My weed board backs me. In '83, the commissioners had dissolved a weed district. The farmers went back together and made it my mandatory weed district. I do work very hard to educate. I try to put pamphlets in the tax notices because we have so many people from out of state that only come once a year. So I tell them who I am and how mean I am and what I will do if you don't control your weeds. I try to work with the real estate agents that sell property in my county to let them know that we have a mandatory weed district and people need to be aware of the noxious weeds. But I do have a good program just because everybody is behind me. I do put people on the taxes, at least 5 a year. I do go on their property and spray it if they don't control it. The east of the river is new for me. That's the countywide program. I have to go before a judge and ask permission to go on the property. I haven't made it that far because hopefully, I call it my love letter. I hire summer workers that go around and they take pictures so that I know what's out in the field that they're looking at when I send my first letter. If I haven't heard from you or know that you've done anything the next pass, I send you my control notice and then I go on your property and I spray it. The east of the river, I'm sure I'll get to go before a judge here this year and see how that goes. But I think that is the reason I have got, I had a $25,000 grant that I got from the Department of Ag, and we split that because I have 2 different districts. So on the east side of the river, I will cost share chemicals with them, and on the west side of the river, I will give you 4 hours of labor. My labor is $75 an hour, so that's quite a hunk to each landowner. So like Kyle, for instance, if he has 5 different landowners, all 5 of those will get 4 hours of labor from me. I do work with the Division of Wildlife that also is my east side of the river. I get a grant from them also to cost share because that is where the wildlife transports a lot of weeds. The hound's tongue is stuck to the deer and the elk and go everywhere they go till they brush it off. I work with the BLM and the Forest Service trying to at least do the roads. I only have 1 sprayer, so we're always behind, but we do somehow manage to get there. Thank you.
Thank you. That was all we had on our list that signed up. Is there anybody else that didn't get an opportunity to speak that'd like to take a few? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody raise their hands. Let me check online. I think there's only one person online.
Mac, I think Commissioner Adams has a comment.
He didn't sign up on the list.
I know.
No. No.
So, first of all, I think all of the people who manage their land properly for weeds are here today. I mean, everybody here takes care of their weeds. These are not the people that don't take care of their weeds. And I'm interested. I heard something today that I've not heard before, and that is the possibility of, in Duff Creek, you have a weed district, and do you have taxing authority?
I have a mill levy that I run off in my mandatory weed district, and yes.
So does that go out with the property tax notice?
Yes.
And does,
But it's
and,
only for the west side of the Dolores River.
okay,
Which is the Dove Creek farmland. On the east side of the river, we do not have a taxing district. The commissioners have to pay me to manage that district.
so does people that don't have farms, are they still taxed to take care of the weeds as well? So like the people within the city limits of Dove Creek, they pay?
No, the town of Dove Creek and the town of Rico are exempt from my district.
Okay, so we could have a taxing district in San Juan County that exempted the municipalities and raise some money that way. You probably don't want to give me this information. If you don't, I'll grandma it. So, no. Do you know how much you raise a year with your mill levy? Even
My mill
ballpark?
levy is set at 1.311 is all I can tell you.
Okay.
I could get you that information off of the
That'd be helpful.
assessor's brochure that she has. I could get that to you.
So if we did a taxing district and made a weed district in the county, you guys take care of your weeds, but maybe you're going to have to pay into this weed district, maybe just to get your neighbors weed or your right of ways or something. I don't know. Is that what you'd like to do, or you want to think about that?
We're paying for it either way right now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you're paying for it. It's just, if everybody was chipping in, does it mean that there's more for all of us to help confront it?
Yeah.
That's probably what it would be. Whereas right now we're fronting the bill for everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Well, then the next thing is how to enforce it. How do you enforce it in Dove Creek? My neighbor's got weeds and he won't take care of them. So you can spray them, but you have to send him how many notices to do that?
Well, I send just a nice letter
Okay.
that I try to send notifying that they have weeds and that we would like for them to control it. I give them
Right.
10 days. And then if I haven't heard from them, I will follow up with what I call a control notice.
Okay.
That is what I'm going to spray you, and if you don't pay the bill, I will put it on your taxes. And then I have to go through my board of county commissioners that give me permission to enter upon those properties. And so then I will go spray. I will try to contact you any way I can. I've hung notices on people's gates. I've sent the sheriff out there like he was serving a warrant.
Yeah.
Whatever. I will try to work with you. But when I don't hear from you, then I go in and I spray it, and then I will send them the bill. Most of the time people pay it. But then if I don't, I just tell the the assessor what I need and who I need to put that on.
And they add that to the taxes for that year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a lien on the property.
No. it
I
just
think
goes
in
right
San
on
Juan
the
County
taxes.
at one time, Monty, I don't know, did we threaten to put a lien on the property if we sprayed their property? No.
It's the same program.
Same program.
Same program.
We would just send out a bill with their property tax for the spraying of the weeds that year.
And we never got to that point.
Yeah.
We had basically we went after one farmer that everybody in San Juan County was trying to get to take care of their property.
Uh-huh.
We got them into a meeting with the weed board and talked about it, but nothing ever happened. I mean,
So we didn't actually spray their weeds and then send them a bill.
no, what I did, I talked to them and you negotiate as best you can. And I talked to one of the brothers. He said, look, you can go spray. The other brother says, stay off of my property. So we tried with them. Finally, I told them, look, I'll give you some milestone if you'll spray it. And ended up giving them some milestone kind of out of the grant that we had. Gave them some milestone. They sprayed half the property. I don't know what they did with the other half. But,
Yeah. And-
No,
and-
we send out a nice letter. I'm sure that Frank's doing that
Yeah,
now.
same thing.
We send out a nice letter. If we don't hear from them, then we send out, look, we're gonna come in on your property, take a look at it. And usually I've already done that. And I got in trouble for it, but I didn't really care sometimes. But anyway, the landowner, they come in, talk to me. We set kind of a look. He tells me, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and I'm saying, okay, great. You've got this amount of time to do it in. And if they don't do it, then we take it further on. Most of the time, we didn't have to. With the one farmer, we did. And we finally got them to clean up half of their property. I don't know if they've done the other half.
But normally you would have gone around and sprayed the right of ways. And some of these right of ways you don't spray state right of ways. They do that themselves.
State's supposed to do that.
State's supposed to do that. You spray the county right of ways.
Yes.
The county does.
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds to me like the biggest problem is if we're spraying the right of ways, and I don't know whether we're actually going on private property and spraying, but maybe we need to do that more, and I'm just wondering if we need to form a weed district, or if what we've got is sufficient to do what we need to do if we put more teeth in it. Dennis, do you?
I think that there needs to be a shorter time, like Oma has 10 days, and then she's sending out a control letter, and then 10 days later, she's able
She's
to do
spraying.
something
Okay,
about it.
that fast.
It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from the first letter, 14 days from the first letter, and then 14 days for them to contact us back. And then another 14 days before we're able to do anything about
That's
it.
the way our rules are right
That's the way
now.
our rules are right now.
So we need to change those rules to address them quicker, is what you're saying.
There's
Money?
only so much you can do when you're following the law.
The state
The law
code.
tells you what
Yeah,
you
it's in
can
state
do.
code.
That's what I'm saying. We need
So state law is inhibiting what we're doing,
Oh, look
Well,
at it.
to me-
what we need to do.
To me, if you wait 14 days or 28 days,
That's a
whatever,
month.
your
You're gone.
Yeah.
bindweed's already.
How do you get
grown.
by with, you have different laws concerning weeds in Duff Creek?
I have the oldest weed district in the state of Colorado that had those laws. I'm sure that the other side of the river, I have to go to a judge. So I'm sure by my legal stuff doing that, it is gonna be that time frame. But mine is, it grandfathered in when they made
Oh,
these other, the county or the statewide ones. So I'm still allowed to run under that old rule. And there are days that it is longer because I only have one sprayer. If I had more sprayers, I could probably cover it in that time frame.
well, I think we've got some pretty nice equipment really to spray, but it sounds to me like from the time you first notify them of that weed problem, within 20 days, you're going to spray it. Is that right?
Yes, because I send out my nice letter and then I send out the control notice. It's about, it can be 20 to 30 days when I do that. But I would have to say that probably 95% that when I send out that first letter, they've either let me know that
Yeah.
that we crossed and they've already sprayed it, they're fixing to address
Okay.
it. And then when I make another pass with my inspectors, if they haven't, then I go back after them again.
So how long is it from the first time we send a letter out before we can go spray it, Dennis, in San Juan
2.5
County?
months.
2.5 months?
By then winter's here.
Well, there's the problem. There's the problem.
Because we gotta give them.
If I may add,
Yeah.
just from a scientific kind of thing, you're basically working with a window of 3 to 6 weeks, more or less.
Right.
For the weeds to kind of run, some it takes, some of the thistles, you'll see that it takes them 6 weeks to maybe really get to fully seeded out from the rosette and all that. But the point that they're addressing, I just want to say it out loud, is that you need to be able to function to where you're at the 3 week period.
Sure.
Or you're in the spinning your wheels category from weeks 3 to 6.
Yep.
And once you're past week 6, all you're doing is killing things that have just spread their seed. And that's not doing anybody any good other than
Right.
us. So that's when you're building your time schedule, it has to be within those windows or you're not doing anything effective.
But our time schedule's restricted by state law.
Oh, I get
I'm
it.
not
Sounds
finding-
like to
I'm
me.
not finding it.
You're not finding
I'm
it?
not finding a
What's the
restrictions.
problem has always been a problem. So if I had a problem and got a letter from Alma, guess what? You know, she's gonna see the evidence of what I'm putting on that. But if I'm gonna go put a 2,4-D on it, that is gonna be a problem instantly again.
Yeah.
Same thing as a Roundup.
Yeah.
You need to be educated on, do you want to
Right.
eradicate this problem or shut up the people knocking on your doorstep?
Right.
So that, the problem and the eyesores are already established, and it's so
Okay.
easy to know that. So that letter should come out in January saying, look what you did. You
Yep.
didn't do nothing last year.
Well, I think Max says he
So
doesn't
you
think
got-
state law,
7 days on a notice, and then after that, there's not. The only other dates on there is 90 days after we've gone out and sprayed that they've got to reimburse us. And so,
it sounds to me like,
As fast as 7 days.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That'd be awesome.
state law. That's what he
So
thinks,
let's,
that state law. So I guess what we've got to do is we got to follow the law.
So the other thing is what they have going, the difference has to be emphasized, that you have to have the taxing authority if you're going after that money.
That's right.
You have to have the taxing authority, as your attorney well knows. So that's the other bridge that has to be crossed. Because if it isn't, if you don't have the taxing authority,
You won't have the money, will you?
people can tell you to pound
Yeah.
the sand.
Yeah. So maybe the two things that we need to look at is passing a mill levy, exempting the municipalities, but passing a mill levy on the other counties, and then following the state law. I mean, after 7 days,
yeah.
Sounds
just
like
got
we
a
can go
notice
spray it.
after 7
It'll get
days,
around.
and so
Once you start, it'll get around, and people will start saying.
I think you're right.
can you
I
find that,
agree with you.
Brittany, on your side?
Huh?
On the noxious weeds, do you have that code? No, that's
I
right.
can look it up.
No, I've got it here. I was just looking at it. I was just wondering if you're seeing anything.
Well, I think-
I
different.
could add one third thing, okay, and I would say this, is, this is super personal, obviously for a lot of the producers here, it's a super personal thing, but what I say, like, in my 10 years, I was, running a Trout Unlimited chapter up in Montana, and Trout Unlimited has an effective approach to how they deal with land management, and it's partnership. And so the emphasis on this, we shouldn't be saying like make people do anything. Okay, or I shouldn't say we, because I'm not even a resident of this county, I work here, but is it have this be a partnership mentality? All the way it all sounds is it, because we all know there's a lot of independent thinking folks around here, right? This is one of the best parts of moving down here from Alaska is I love the independent thinking. But I would suggest that you build this kind of a thing in terms of, hey, we're a resource, we can do this, we can help you in these ways, and we have teeth. And if forced to, we will deal with your problem and then bill you accordingly. And it's just a question of not stepping on people's toes, but coming at people with a partnership mentality. And that's where the success will fully lie. I know this is how you guys basically do business.
And I will work with anybody, my tractor's broke down, okay, I know you're gonna get there. I've done 60-foot borders around a piece of property, trying to keep it from blowing all over the county. And then the next year come back and do another 60-foot border, because I'm not there to make you lose your farm. I will work with you any way I can.
Essentially, it's incentivizing people to do the right thing and to work with you. And so that's the way that I'm saying is that you talked about two things. This is the third thing, is work with an incentive kind of a thing and a carrot as opposed to the stick, that you let people know that in your other hand is a stick, right? So.
Mac, I have a quick question about the weedings. Sometimes the public notice they talk about this ways that you can come and get some spray kind of.
Yes, yep.
So that's part of the county
We do
program.
advertise that, correct?
Okay, another thing is I have a daughter and her husband, they own a property in the county here. Twice a year they come and spray. Are we sending notice to tell people take care of your property, or they are doing it because he grew up as a farmer and he knows that he had to take care of that? And this morning, they came to town last night, and this morning they are here in Monticello spraying those weeds. And I wonder if it's something like that can be sent as a reminder, you know,
Absolutely.
with the taxes saying, do spray
Yeah, I
the
like the
weeds and-
suggestion with the tax notice as well.
Yeah. and
Because
so-
you
but-
hear some of that where individuals, just say developers, will come in and speculate, buy up farmland
Yeah.
in anticipation of this future development. Or we're seeing a lot of individuals that are trying to escape a heavy tax burden up north along the Wasatch Front, so they'll come down here and invest in properties here, farmlands, buy it up, and not produce. So they just hold on to it. And I hear that same thing on the creek beds. You know, as the creeks run through those properties, they pick up those seeds if they're not spraying along their creek banks, and then all of those seeds just go down the creek and streams into these other properties. And so I like that idea of sending the tax notice information, because every year they will get that information. But I think on our side of it, we've got to be a little bit better on the enforcement, be a little bit more heavy-handed, and kind of just
And I
get
want to say
tough, get mean.
just one more thing. I want to thank you for coming. And I learned a lot, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I can speak for the commission. We hear you, and we hope that we can make it easy for you guys, because we all like wheat bread. I mean, we eat a lot of wheat bread. And we like, you know, lots of things you produce. And thank you so much for your time.
Just one comment. Next week, I'll be sending out the notice of property valuation and tax changes, and I have information on that regarding property assessing and so on. If that's the document that you're thinking about, then I would need some of this information in the next 5 days. Then in October, the final one will go out.
Okay.
And it's the same process.
Thank you.
Bruce, could I just say one more thing?
Yeah, but you speaking before somebody raised their hand.
While you were looking at it.
Wiley is living out of town, so of course I have 10 acres. Then we spray our weeds. We have someone in front of us that doesn't necessarily take care of their weeds as much. So we're talking about, you know, eliminating municipalities. But when you look in town, why would not everyone be included in that? Because there's so many people, even in your communities, that let their weeds go. Plus residential, even out of town. So why couldn't everyone be included in that mill levy to help with that problem? They should.
Pass that after January, will you?
I can answer some of that. So the county is responsible for the county unincorporated area. And then the cities, they are responsible by law for their own city annexed area and that jurisdiction within. We've had several discussions in the past with some of the cities to try to get them, especially goat head removal, things like that, to get them a little bit more on board with taking care of their noxious weeds. And I think that's a discussion that we would have to have them with them. If we passed a mill levy that included them on there, then we would have to share that portion back to them, because they're responsible for the enforcement within the city. Yes. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
You ever tried to get the city to agree with the county on anything? I'll tell you,
Especially
there's
farm.
probably the 4 best farmers in the room here today, and they take care of their land. So Kyle, you and Lewis Farms and Johnson's, and you're just a little,
Dennis's,
you're the
yeah.
little tiny guy. Yeah. Yeah. But you guys, if people would follow your example, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. So
I care for my kids. That's what I.
absolutely,
I'm here, but you're right. I got kids.
absolutely.
And every one of them, I told them to come up because this is dealing about the future.
Yeah.
I told you the past of what I see.
Yeah.
And it's not, the problem is not going away. It's
Right.
going to get worse and worse.
Well, there's some things we can do, and we'll do that. We'll try and do that, Kyle. We'll try and better enforce. Now that we know the mechanism that they use in Dove Creek, I think that's going to help us tremendously because it works. You're right, it works. So thanks for
And you're
coming.
mean, and that's a critical point. Is we've got to be mean.
Yeah, thanks for coming over from Dove Creek. You know that you come to the big city of Monticello, you're probably kind of confused, aren't
I
you?
got lost. I didn't know where the place was.
I'll bet you did. Kurt?
Just the last thing, and I'm done. It's the culture that's the problem. The weed board has sent stuff out for years and years, and there's one particular landowner that does not live here that told me, he says, I got a letter from the weed board, he says, they're worried about buying weed in this county. He goes, where I'm from, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so they just brush it aside. That's the problem, is there's no to say we're serious about this. So if the culture can change, I think we'll have success like the Lord.
I think so too.
You got to talk more about it in church. We'll do what we can. We'll promise you that. We'll try and get a handle on things.
When we're going to have the vote on the mill levy, when will that happen?
You got to talk to that lady right there. She can tell us how to do that. Yeah.
We would have to have a resolution establishing the district.
Public
and
hearing. It's
Yeah.
going to take a week or two.
Let's act on it, please.
Let's just start somewhere. It's a
Yeah,
county, and I'm
well,
proud of
enforcement.
it. And start somewhere.
Are we too late to address certain weeds this year? There's some that you can still spray and kill.
You put the right chemical and put
Yeah.
A little Clorox bleach on that bindweed, huh?
What is it?
Specifically your deep-rooted perennial weeds. A lot of the chemical control is best done in the fall.
In the fall. Okay.
Specifically
All right.
The thistle, Russian knapweed,
All right.
weed, those types of things. So-
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be done, and we recommend the best opportunity is beyond August.
Okay.
September, October.
And you can eradicate it. I've been told that you can eradicate patches, and I says, you'll pee on it harder.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't just do these things, or you can have the same.
So to spray at one time doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, heck no.
You gotta stay on top of it.
Yeah.
It's the devil's lettuce.
Yeah. All right.
Did we have any comments online, Matt?
That was it. Right there.
All right, then I think we're done with our public comment section. So we're going to move on to our next item, which is the consent agenda.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone,
guys.
for the
Appreciate it.
education.
So on the consent agenda item today, items. Let's see, might have the wrong
Commission.
one up.
Let's see if I. Thank you.
This is wonderful.
Thank you. Now I know.
Thank you.
And I'm sure glad that
Hold
Legend
on.
invited the Dove Creek people
Well,
to be
I
here.
learned where my morning glory comes. It's all those birds that have in the trees.
It'll stop our weed farmers if we don't do something. Thank you for your.
Thank you, bye.
I appreciate your comments on there.
Very much.
So
That's a good
that's
discussion.
helpful.
Thank you.
Now I'm gonna go find Trudy Hawkins' school attendance record. She's dead. I have 38 people, number 38, I promise you. They're down Windsor. It's a big problem. It's about $300 each. mileage and time for the downwinders for the nuclear tests.
Thank you.
You remember Trudy Hawkins?
Yeah.
She died of liver cancer about 4 years ago. But I'm helping her daughter quickly file a downwinders compensation.
Yeah, get her
I think
reimbursed for that.
That's number 38 I've done
Oh, really?
free. I get the blessing for doing it.
A year?
Good. That's $50,000
Yeah.
tax free. Is what they get.
Wow.
I gotta go find that now. I gotta go get her high school,
Not enough.
her grade school attendance record to prove that she lived here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right,
All
Matt.
right, under the consent agenda items, you have 8 items. Today you have the approval of the July small purchase of $2,295 for the San Juan County Road Truck Jack. You've got approval of the July 2nd, 2024 Commission meeting minutes. Approval of the July 9th, 2024 Board of Commissioners, Board of Canvassers meeting minutes. Then you've got the approval of the check registers for June 29th through July 11th, 2024. Then you have the item number 5, approval of the appointment of Stephen Hyatt to the San Juan County Board of Health. Item 6, you have the approval of the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services Contract Amendment number 2 with San Juan County for community and clinical intervention. You've got consideration and approval of a contract amendment number 2 between San Juan County and TechServe, modifying the agreement allowing for the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Systems adherence and guidelines. Item number 8, ratification of notice of award to Lyle Northern Electric Incorporated for the Cal Black Airport for the all-weather operating systems and beacon replacement project for $273,480 in construction costs. You'll see that contract come before you, hopefully next commission meeting. But other than that, commissioners, that is your consent agenda items
That
for
July
today.
9 Board of Commissioner meetings to do the canvas was an emergency.
It was an emergency.
Meeting,
Mhm.
so that's why you didn't know, Lori.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out how to text Rosa to close the door.
There's a meeting outside
I know,
Yeah.
huh?
in the hall.
Thanks for doing that, Commissioner Adams. Okay, commissioners, we got 8 items on our consent agenda. How do you like to
I
move?
make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs to approve the consent agenda items as read.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Adams. Any other comments or questions, commissioners?
No.
Okay, don't think we have any questions. Let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. That's 3 in favor, no abstention, and no opposed. So moving on to our business action items. Mac?
Okay, so let's see. Let's go back. There's
Oh,
sorry.
Number 9.
On item number 9, it's the heading on there was wrong. I didn't catch it. I was sitting at NACO in between the conference meetings and hurried and pushed out this agenda and didn't realize that that was still on there. But we do have just a presentation. This will be by the county's victim advocate, Carrie Jensen. She's here, and she'll just kind of describe the program and what she's about.
I will just quickly, my name's Carrie Jensen. I'll just quickly give a brief overview of the program. This is just part of the requirements for the state funding that we receive for this program, is that I just come and sort of tell you guys what my responsibilities are, which is, as the victim advocate, I just assist victims through the justice process by making sure their rights are respected, acting as a liaison as needed between them and the prosecutor's office, helping them with restitution when it's appropriate, with victim impact statements, referring them to resources that are available in the community that can assist them as they heal and move forward, collaborating with our community-based advocates, which we have amazing community-based advocates in our county, and also Grand County, we have some overlap there. And think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions?
Now, these victims are victims of all kinds of crimes?
So we do respond to all types of crimes, but usually just given the limited nature of my hours and what's being prosecuted, I usually will not be contacted unless it's a more serious situation where there will be a justice process for them to be guided through.
So
So
you,
I'll
you
defer
focus
to
on
I'll defer to Brittany on
you
the
focus
side on
on drug crimes, sex crimes, uh, domestic
domestic
crime?
violence, yes, assault.
So
Yeah.
she does all crimes where there's a victim when it's a person on a person.
Oh, okay.
So theft crimes, no, even though there's a victim. But if it's person on person, so assault type cases, sexual assault cases, stalking type cases, anything really domestic violence related, anything with children, those are the majority of the cases. The others are, she's not responsible for those.
She
Her
intervenes
grant,
before they are prosecuted or after?
so she's kind of during the process. She works under the county attorney's office. So we have system-based advocates, which is what Carrie is, and then we have community-based advocates. The system-based advocates, her role specifically is with my office. She does help a little bit with the sheriff's office, so if there's a victim in stress, then she may get called out to go meet with them, or may get their info. They may be given her information and contact her before prosecution actually happens. But the majority of her role is to happen after charges have been filed. There's a victim bill of rights that just like defendants have rights, victims also have rights. And so the main focus of her job is to make sure that those rights are being followed. So there's certain things that victims have to be notified of from prosecution that she does. There's also certain rights, like a victim has a right to speak at sentencing, so she just makes sure that they're first that they know of those rights, and then 2, that their rights are being followed if they want to, and then 3, kind of how those rights are being followed. So there's different ways that somebody could speak at sentencing. That could be that they come and they speak for themselves, or it could be that Carrie speaks for them or I speak for them. So she's just a good communication road to myself and the victims, a 2-way street to where victims, on more serious cases, I am able to meet with victims more, but I have too much of a caseload. I don't have time to meet with victims, so she helps coordinate a lot of that. And so the biggest thing is making sure that victims' rights are followed, because if we don't, we can get in trouble with the Victims' Rights Committee. And so she just makes sure that.
So somebody that's been assaulted, you have the perpetrator in jail, then you have the victim outside of jail. That's who she's dealing with. Mm-hmm. Is the victim that was assaulted, or
if they would like a no contact order, then I would relay that to the prosecutor,
okay.
Or sometimes law enforcement has already done that, and just making sure the victim, oftentimes if they haven't been through a similar situation, they have no idea how the process works or what's happening. They've already been traumatized, so it's just helpful for them to know what to expect.
Is that a lot of people in the county that need her help?
Yeah. A lot of people rely on her, and sadly, just help, just helping to make sure that when they feel uncomfortable, they just have somebody there, even for support, who they know that they can kind of ask questions to, and just to make sure that our office has a good working relationship with our victims.
So do you contact her and say?
We contact on a regular basis.
And you tell her, hey, this person was assaulted. You need to go.
It depends how she gets notified to cases. We have a system to where if charges are filed, then she's notified of cases. Okay.
Occasionally, law enforcement will reach out on certain cases where they really feel like charges will be filed.
Does the court notify you, or does Brittany?
No, the court doesn't notify.
It's through the county attorney's office.
The county attorney's office will notify.
Yeah, but yes. I mean, and so, and then our community-based advocates, she helps refer them to our community-based advocates such as Seek Haven, or UNHS has one, and those are to get more resources for victims. To
And
help with,
usually
like,
on-scene crisis if they
so
need
she
that
refers a lot of our
responses.
victims to different programs that can help with either funding or with counseling or different things like that after they've been through a crime. But she's not responsible to actually make those appointments for them or things like that. She just refers them to other people who can help.
I have a question, but maybe it was answered already. Did you have any involvement with the women's shelter?
Only as far as collaborating.
Okay,
So yes,
so-
not
So
any
you're
official
not-
responsibilities
You're
as
not
far
a
as the
resource
running.
person that go and help them with find.
So yeah, I
Because
just have
after
a
they
working
leave-
relationship with
Yeah.
them, and we do have to be careful to respect privacy, just because as a system-based advocate, my requirements, everything that I hear from a victim, I will be telling to the prosecutor. But our community-based advocates at the shelter and at the medical provider, medical centered advocates, based advocates such as UNHS, they have different privacy requirements, so they can keep everything private. Anyway, so there's a few differences there in how we handle things. So
Yeah, her Carrie's role is more with prosecution, is specifically with prosecution. There's not very many cases where if it's not being prosecuted, Carrie would be a part of that because
She doesn't have to break up fights at the Little League game between parents.
Not that I've seen, but I'd like to see that. We can make that as part of her case.
let's not make that as part.
No, so and I'll say Carrie's done a really phenomenal job. We hired her on at the beginning of the year and I've been very impressed with what she's done. She cares for our victims and is really on top of things, proactive, and so I really appreciated her in our office.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this position. I do feel passionately about it, so I think that's all for today. I do need to present twice a year as part of those requirements. So,
Mac, is this part of our county budget or do we get a grant from the state? How does
Yes.
this thing get funded?
Both. So it's part of our county budget, and then
Okay.
it's supplanted by the grant from the state for this program.
They do have a grant?
Yes, each year, and this
But
is where this is.
almost solely funded by the grant.
Yep, this
It
is.
really-
By law, we have to have it though.
Yes, and well, I
Well,
don't
I'm-
know. We had applied. Kendall applied for it a few years back, and
Okay.
we've just kept it going here.
It's
Um,
It
Approximately.
went from federally funded to state funded last year, I think.
it was before I came on, but it was recently,
Yeah, I
sometime
think
last
I
year.
think it was early last year that it went from federal to state. So I've continued keeping up. But there's an office with the state that she works with to make sure that she's being
compliant.
with the grant. But it's almost solely state funded. The county doesn't. When I ask for things in my budget, it includes her position. There's some things that she can ask for more reimbursement on, but for the most part, like if she goes traveling somewhere, that comes from my travel budget. But other than that, the county doesn't contribute anything to like wages or anything like that.
Well, I just wanted to ask about, let's see, there's the funding sources, like Commissioner Adams was asking. It's now state, because we were at the National Association of Counties, and they were talking about a stream of funding, and they call it some kind of pass-through. So imagine the state of Utah is a pass-through, and then it's passed through to the counties.
My understanding under the new program, and Brittany can correct me if this is not right, but the state selects one position to be funded by this program in every county, and they have a preference for system-based advocate position, which is usually the county attorney's office. Sometimes they'll put the advocate with law enforcement, but usually it's with the county attorney's office. And it's just one person in the county, and as part of that, and it's 90 to 95% funded. Like the position, there are things like supplies or something like that are not totally funded by the position, but it's 90 to 95% funded from the state.
Yeah, it sounds like
program.
that. Yeah, it's federal. It's still federal because the state subscribes to it from a federal program. So, yeah, I'm trying to put my pulse on all the county programs.
I think this one they've separate. Like there are VOCA and some other
Yep.
other programs, and this is new. This is separate. It's done by the legislature. I'm not sure, if they're drawing from some of their federal sources of revenue to fund this program. I wouldn't know that, but we don't have any accountability. None of the reports, which I'm required to do quarterly and annually, I'm submitting all of those to the Utah Office for Victims of Crime.
Okay.
To
I appreciate the information because with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, we're trying to account for all the programs and the data. So you just came out of the woods for us because that's important. Because I'm interested in those numbers that you guys are reporting because they're helpful. Because we're turning around and asking legislature for programs, and without the information, you're not part of that conversation of here are some numbers and we need support from the state because these A, B, and C are happening in our county. And I'm sure you encounter those things. So we need to reconcile that. So thank you for your information. I'll be picking on you a little bit more later on.
Commissioner Harvey, her position is one of those that is in our general makeup for that Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee to be present. And so I just put a note earlier before she stood up is making sure to include her on the meeting list. So
I think you did on the
Okay.
last meeting, and I'm
Perfect.
planning on attending the next one virtually as
Okay.
well. So
Very good.
She's there?
You're already on it.
Very good. Then you'll continue to be part of our conversation moving forward.
All
Cool.
right. Thank you for your
I would
time.
imagine just knowing Carrie, she does a great job.
You taught her, huh?
Yeah, but she one of fifth graders.
She's not one I taught.
What?
I was asking if you're one of his fifth graders. They're
Yeah.
everywhere in the
That's
government.
I'm a transplant. So.
Okay.
You'll find that the commissioners have between Commissioner Stubbs and Commissioner Adams, they have a tally of who they taught in preschool.
Yes, she was my preschool.
I think Sylvia's winning this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And they're the ones that voted for me, I think. Oh,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right, moving on. It's now our business item.
Okay. Item number 10 on the business action item, you have
Thanks, Carrie.
consideration
Thank you.
and approval for the Library Services and Technology Act Borrow Support Grant Agreement with the State Library Division in San Juan County. Nicole.
You don't have any weeds at the library, do you?
We actually do at the moment. I've been trying to get, but it sounds like they're very overwhelmed. So I was just communicating with Sam, and he's like, I passed it on, but so just at our little bluff right there around there. So I'm sure we're the least of the county's problems right now. So I could probably go down and hoe them up. So. I'm just here to present that this has become an annual grant that we've applied for and have received so far for expenses related to our ILL program, where we borrow items from other libraries if we don't carry those items ourselves, and that helps pay for the postage, for the packaging, and other related costs. And we were approved for up to $5,487. And the grant period has already started, but it's fine. We have permission to go ahead and retroactively turn in those receipts from July 1st of this year till June 30th of 2025. And this is just a very helpful way to help supplement the costs to our library and help our patrons so they can afford to borrow the books, especially with postage being so expensive. And we're just asking for the commissioners to approve that. And before I forget, if it is approved, they are asking, they're back to sending the contracts via electronic mail to have electronic signature. And I believe it's Commissioner Harvey on July 2nd, I asked Faye Fisher from the State Library to please reassign that signature to you. So you might have to, and I don't know if Rosa helps with that or Matt. Rosa. Yeah. So if you need to search for that email, if it doesn't pop up, let me know. If commissioners do approve this contract, let me know and I can have her resend it for signature. It's just super easy, and it's an easy way for them to track, and then that's a quicker way for me to get back that copy of the contract. So anyway, thank you. Have any questions?
Can I
Yeah,
make-
sisters.
I just want to make a comment.
Yeah.
I like the new programs you have at the library where people can bring the extra vegetables. or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Such a cute little shelf. And what a nice thing to do. And
Yeah.
I think we need to recognize those little things that can make a difference. You know, that's how our departments do. And I was just thinking about that. What a good idea it is. And sometimes
Thank
it's just
you.
one pepper or one something.
Yep.
Well, that can help somebody, you know. And so, but
I want to give a shout out to my staff. They, especially Jenny Brooks, she comes up with a lot of those ideas. She'll fly them by me, and almost all the time it's something that's very doable and helpful. So if any San Juan County residents have extra produce, zucchini or apricots they want to get rid of, they can bring them to the library, and we put them there for anybody to come and that can use them. So thank you for. Yeah, that's just an additional thing that we've added recently, and it's, very low maintenance but helpful to the community. So
thank you. And thank you for all you do. And all these little grants. It seems like the little grants.
I know they're
but
little,
make
but they
a
add
big-
up.
They add up and make a big
Slowly.
difference. And, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, how would you like to move with the grant?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion by Commissioner Adams to approve,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Stubbs. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. 3 in favor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll sign that by digital. So
And I wanted to give a shout out to Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Stubbs too for helping us get some funding through UNTF for some computers that are very much needed in the Montezuma Creek Library, and just to let me know what the next step is, and
I don't
we'll
know
get
if
those.
Commissioner Harvey has set up an appointment, but I've been
Okay.
calling Paul.
Okay.
Calling and texting, telling
Okay.
him let's have an emergency.
And I imagine we'll
I
need
think that's
IT
how
help to
responded.
get those installed. But
Yeah.
thank you again for watching out for us, and thank you.
it's all
All right.
Commissioner Stubbs' fault. So
Yeah,
I
it's all her
don't-
fault. We'll blame her, huh? Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our next item, Mac.
Okay, we've got consideration and approval of the San Juan County Work Plan Contract for the year 2025 with the State of Utah Department of Environmental Quality.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Buenos dias, Yate.
Buenos dias.
Hello.
Hagong.
Yes, and I was really excited. I felt actually like I knew what was happening earlier because Tyler Ketron, our business manager, worked on the weed crew for years and years. And so anytime I drive with him through the county, he's like, "Oh, there's some of that such and such noxious weed," and so I have an eye for it now.
This year I have lots of birds in my park. Little kids that have a park. And they have lots of morning glory. Now I put two together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better hide it.
I bet.
I know, I'm
Mulberry
look-
trees, so
look.
those birds don't come over and bring.
You got 7 days to spray.
Right?
Maybe we could send you a letter.
Are we all on notice right now? Just because we were here? Anyways, thanks so much.
It's a pain.
So I have 2 contracts here that go together, but they are separate, both related to environmental quality and environmental health. So Department of Environmental Quality this year separated it into 2 contracts. The next one's the minimum performance standards, which is more of a broad overview of environmental health and how we in public health help maintain and protect environmental health. This one right here is this generic term work plan contract. Has a few specific parts to it. So air quality, which is more monitoring, not something that we have very specific actions related to that we do here. Drinking water, there are a few specific water systems that we can monitor, but most of those we've passed on because the big update I have for that if you haven't heard yet, for Over half a year, we did not have an environmental health director, and we do now. And so he's just Dennis Shumway. He's received his environmental health scientist in training license, and he's being supervised officially by the Central Utah Health Department environmental health director, with support from the Southeast Utah Health Department environmental health director and his staff. So you can see all these topics here: air quality, drinking water, waste management, including used oil, water quality, mercury. The list goes on. If you scroll through the contract, it is a lot of science and a lot of not just science, but how to apply the science to our area that's needed. And thankfully, we have this broad support. Both Central, Southeast Utah health departments have really stepped up to support our county. And they said to me very specifically, Grant, hey, we want to do what it takes to support San Juan County and help us get back on our feet for environmental health. So I've had some specific chats with Commissioner Harvey about that. And once he's passes his, gets his official license, I think it'll be worth a little celebration and an official recognition when we get to that point. In the meantime, just a little background, wanted to let you know that is happening, and we're moving along. He's hitting the ground running. Even though it says he's in training, his background really helps him just get started, and he's learning super fast. So this one here, you can see there's just a little bit of funding for each of these categories: air quality compliance, a little bit of drinking water, which is specifically for sanitary survey training, 1,000 for used oil monitoring, and then 500 for mercury, which is fairly straightforward. We're trying to get the word out that we have a place in our office to collect any broken thermometers, things like that might have some mercury in it. So you can see this is a small, relatively small amount that ends up leaving about, this is a rough estimate, $37,000 to be covered by state and local minimum performance standards funding. So any questions about this one in particular?
Commissioners, any questions before we entertain the contract?
Other than it being separate from the next contract, there aren't any real surprises or new things about the content here. It is year to year, pretty standard. Though the theme that I'll share with the next one as well, as local public health and in local environmental health, we are trying to negotiate with the State Department of Environmental Quality, because there are all of these requirements that we monitor and we assure and we enforce environmental health measures, but there's only these little pockets of funding, while DEQ on the state level does have the lion's share of the funding. So it is an ask in the big picture, is like, hey, local is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we do need more, arguably, from the state to come to us. So that's just a broad message there that I would mention.
No question. I just, like I said earlier to Nicole, all those little grants help us to be able to accomplish a bigger picture of things.
Right.
So I appreciate, especially when it comes to health, there's so many things like, I remember putting a thermometer, a child, in, those old-fashioned ones.
Yeah.
And better than seeing those little balls.
Right, the mercury that comes out.
And the counters, and sometimes we do need to know education about those
Exactly.
things. And I had no idea that was.
And that's the exciting thing about Dennis's approach. He really lines up with our overall public health culture that we're trying to foster, culture of wellness and health in the county, because it's really, everyone has to be proactive and engaged and educated in order to do that. Every parent, needs that basic knowledge to know, don't just play with that mercury if your thermometer breaks, even though a lot are digital nowadays, right? Yeah. But whatever it might be, we need people to be a sense of partnership, like was shared earlier about the noxious weeds. So that's his goal, is working with landowners, things like that, right? To say, hey, how do we work on this together? I'm not just here to enforce the law.
Just to educate. Thank you.
What's the duration of this grant?
So this is a year to year.
Year to year?
Mm-hmm.
Just a suggestion, Grant. Maybe I know the mill, the company that runs the mill,
Energy Fuels.
Energy Fuels. They have a set aside that they've been mentioning for community projects.
Okay.
You know, I know that drinking water is close and dear to the Ute tribe there.
Right. Representative Lehigh's mentioned it to me before.
You know, if you want to look into beefing up some of these areas, maybe that might be a point of consideration. Just so you're able to use more funds. I don't know if this is matching or not, or if you're able to match, but that's always been a resource. I never seen it tapped.
Yeah, they're I do know of it. I've been to their website. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe
They made some changes lately. In the beginning, it was just kind of scholarship type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I got brave and I decided to do a grant that was county, different kind of thing. And now they have all kinds of things you can do. Environment, different things. And so I just helped somebody with 2 grants and community. The only thing they don't support is tourism, but they support lots of the.
Yeah.
So the website, if you go there, and it's called San Juan County Clean Energy Foundation. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
go
that's right,
there,
the
and then you
foundation,
can
that's
see
right.
and
Thank you. Yeah, for example, if we were to do a small campaign about a specific environmental health issue, right, that would help. That could help fund that.
And sometimes it's a matter of educating the people about the uranium. Used to be really bad
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah, here.
they would have the yellow cakes left in because they're so pretty. Lots of the pottery people that did pottery used the yellow color for the coffee cups and everything. And so they have come a long, long way. And sometimes it's a matter of educating the people so they're not fearful. Because they do have good jobs, and they have many, many Native Americans that work there, and they, they can testify this.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job checking everything. And
So DEQ is the agency that actively monitors the mill, but at the same time, it's in partnership with us as a local health department. So our environmental health director and I both receive copies of the monitoring reports, and so that is something that is part of my message to the county is that I receive these reports, we keep tabs on it. And they are following those regulations, those standards to ensure safety and health.
And it brings peace to the people that lives around the community to know that, they're very careful.
Right. And, for me, my first introductions to the county was meeting with Mac and Commissioner Adams. And I did ask Commissioner Adams about the history and the sad legacy here in Monticello with the mill site. And it is one thing that attracted me to know that there's this commitment to recover, to revive that sense of health and that sense of confidence in having a healthy place to live. And so and to have the funding now from HRSA to let people know we have a cancer screening program available. And so,
and
it's
it
been
doesn't
really
matter
exciting.
where they live. If they live someplace else, they can tell.
Exactly.
We just need to figure out how to keep, getting the word out. And the county did a good job with their float.
Yeah, you noticed, yeah. It was a team effort.
They
right?
have lots of people out of town there that can notify.
Right.
So.
Yep. Thank you so much. So overlapping with this, the broad goals of this and the next contract.
very good. All right, commissioners, how would we like to move on this work plan contract for 2025?
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs to approve.
Second.
second by Commissioner Adams. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. That's 3 in favor, no opposed. Motion carries. It's been approved. So
Okay, the next one then is the consideration and approval of the San Juan County Minimum Performance Standards contract for year 2025 with the State of Utah Department of Environmental Quality.
Thank
Grant
you.
had touched on this.
Did touch on it. So this comparison here is that one had a few specific tasks, topics that I listed there. This is a little broader, really to help us meet minimum performance standards. Another bit of context I'll provide is that local and state local health departments with Department of Environmental Quality have a governance process. And there was a version of this that was approved through the governance process, but DEQ did make changes to it. And so there was a delay in sharing this with you all, just because of those concerns about changes happening outside of the governance process. We are planning to negotiate with DEQ. Despite these changes, a few other health officers and myself have decided, hey, let's just move forward. We need to keep this work going. It's not perfect, and we have these plans for future negotiation. And again, if you have any contacts, with state legislators that want to help advocate for local environmental health, this is an opportunity where we want to be have more of a seat at the table with DEQ. But overall, most of it is helping us move forward with these categories of environmental health protections, drinking water safety, on-site wastewater treatment systems. And these are things, like I said, our new environmental health director is now going out, helping with these septic tank systems. We have a new change in place where our environmental health scientist does not do the design. Instead, we require that a contractor do that, or someone with that license. And so that way we have checks and balances in place. This has been a change. It's taken a minute for some of our builders to get used to, but it helps so that we are not inspecting a system that we designed as government environmental health. So instead, we go and inspect and improve of designs that have already taken place in the private sector. And what we're seeing is, as the word's getting out, more contractors are seeking that environmental health license so that they can do that design. And then we're seeing kind of those the push and pull of supply and demand happening. At first, some might have been charging this much, and then as more are getting licensed, the price might move around. So, but overall, we're seeing kind of more of that economy moving as we have shifted. And we were the last health department to do our own design for septic systems. Every other health department in the state had this system of, private designs it, we approve it, and then we inspect it. So if that makes sense, that's an update I'd like to share. Just us moving forward and growing as an environmental health program. But the overall total here is $62,246. Again, leaving some that our state and local minimum performance standards funding from the county does need to cover. And so that's a separate, it's not technically a match. It's just remaining that this is not enough to cover the costs. We do have the fees as well that you all approved earlier that's helping with that.
all right, commissioners, got the minimum performance standards contract.
I make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner Adams.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Stubbs seconded the motion. Any other comments or questions, commissioners, before we vote?
No.
Hearing none.
Thank you.
Let's all vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 3 in favor, no abstention. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Grant. Looks like you have one item left.
One more. Okay. Shifting topics here. Though emergency preparedness was one of those bullets in environmental health, this one is more broad to public health emergency preparedness overall, sometimes called FEP. And this is specifically the Medical Reserve Corps. which is an effort to have volunteers ready, some medical and some non-medical, to help when there is a broad emergency happening. So we have not had this in place, but this grant is meant to be a boost to help us establish within a year a MRC, this Medical Reserve Corps. And so we have Mike Moulton, our emergency response coordinator for public health, has spoken with San Juan Hospital and Blue Mountain Hospital to say, hey, would this be helpful? Should we have this type of system and core in place? And both responded, yes, it would be helpful, and they would like us to help coordinate this. And if you look at some of the details, it would help with establishing a process for training, for exercises, to help these volunteers say, hey, this is exciting, and we should be a part of this, and be helpful, and also how to be prepared. How do we validate someone's medical licenses, for example, so that in an emergency, we can know, like, oh, you have this license, we need you to do this specific task. Or you're not medical, but you can help with these things, great, let's put you to work here, right? And then the follow-up and things like that to help make sure we have an organized response to a public health emergency, or support with any other emergencies as well. You can see how we have, this would allow for engagement with the community in different ways, fairs, religious organizations, schools, chapter houses, etc. And for me, hearing about some of our mass casualty events, for example, the tour bus west of Bluff, as I understand, about 10 years ago. Many people, it was all hands on deck, as I understand, just everyone trying to help out. Ambulances go in every direction, right, to take those people. Sadly, so many not making it. And so this is something that we hope could be in place so that ideally we prevent those accidents, right? But if they do, we can be ready and have an organized response, and hopefully a more effective response to have more people survive those types of incidents. So this is $35,000. Again, 1 year. The proposal here is that we have a part-time employee or a contractor during this time to help build this program, and then ongoing it would be our public health emergency and healthcare preparedness programs, FEP and HPP. Those fundings have a slice that are meant to support this MRC program.
I like what I saw, especially having the college here. Maybe
right.
It can be something to work out with a certificate while they're still in high school.
I agree.
And doesn't have to be big things. Like my husband and I were driving early one morning, and all of a sudden there was a dust in front of us, and bodies were flying out of the windows of the cars. The driver had fallen asleep, and there were bodies everywhere. And you just don't know what to do. You don't know. And we're in the middle, in a highway where there was no help kind of thing. But so it seems lately we have more accident in our county. It seems like there's more. I don't know if we have more traffic or what, but and eventually we'll run into an accident. It'd be nice to know something what to do, but
right.
And I think I kind of give a opportunity a volunteer work. I think we are losing that. Used to be that everything was done in our community by volunteer people. Lots of things were built in our community here with volunteer, but now, due to circumstance, the economy, whatever, we don't have that, but it'd be nice to give them some tools that maybe they'll entice them to go into the medical field, or maybe they say, no, this not for me, because sometimes we say, I'll be a doctor, I'll be this, but I thought between, having senior in high school, maybe participating in this with a small little certificate or whatever.
I love
but
that.
I like I like, as I was reading through this, I thought this is really good. That's a good
Yeah.
opportunity. So.
I mean, to build on that, linking it back to that accident, we just met with the funeral home director this last week to talk about ways that we can collaborate more between healthcare, public health, and the funeral home. And he said that were some of the survivors of that crash that that have reached out to him because of that, that bond that happens in an emergency. And he said he knows of several that have gone into the healthcare field and are now physicians or things like that. And so to have those experiences right at an early age, it can help guide someone to realize, yep, this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do.
And it's,
start with volunteering.
Yeah, and sometimes you think volunteer work, you don't get paid, but there's other pays that you get because you're caring for people. And I think we need more of that nowadays.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's huge.
All right, Commissioners, we got a contract for a contract with the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services for a medical reserve corps program.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner Adams,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Stubbs. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 3 in favor. Motion's unanimous. Got an approved contract. Grant?
Thank
you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work.
Moving on to our next item.
Okay, item number 14, we have consideration and approval of the 2024 through 2025 agreement with the state of Utah, Attorney General's Office in San Juan County for the Children's Justice Center operations. We have Robert Neiman, our director for CJC, first time presenting.
Yeah.
Don't
first
be
time.
nervous. Yeah.
Jeez, I'll tell you.
You don't have any weeds, do you?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I gotta rechange the budget to get weed care taken care of there. So, well, it's a pleasure to be here. Since February I've been here, and it has been a learning experience for sure. First of all, let me talk about the contract. The contract that I originally put in the commission staff report talked about the extension was going to be a 30-day extension and then a 5-year contract. That was not the case. What I ended up doing was a 1-year extension, and then we'll talk about the 5-year contract next year. So that's one of the changes that was not put in my commission staff report. The original contract that was first approved was $60,000. Since February, we have spent about just shy of $7,000. I had $7,000 left in the budget at the end of the year for this fiscal year of the state of Utah. Since then, we've been awarded another $114,994 to run the center for the next up through June 30th next year. I think for the most part, we should be able to do that fairly easy. If you look at the budget that's set aside there, I'm very open to move numbers around. There is a county budget that's set in there, and I just didn't take those off. So when they sent me the contract, sent me the budget sheet, that was already in place. And so I just never took those off. So those may or may not be correct to end up with the $195,000. I don't think it'll cost that much to run the center for the next year, but I'll take $195 if you're willing to approve it. So let's see. I think I got the change done. I got the $114,994,000. Do you want to go through each of the line items, or does it matter? Okay.
Tracy told me she'd throw all the money she had at this.
I'm trying to get her to throw a lot more money.
Tracy's one of those 5th graders.
She's the 5th grader. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Tracy Tabbitt.
Yeah, she will be here in a couple days. The 24th of July is her come home every year stop, and so
24th one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, she's. We did at one of the requests that I did. I probably need to submit a thing for you guys to review as well on a new recording equipment. We've got an issue there, but we'll get to that. So.
She's the state director of Children's Justice Centers for the entire state, Lori. She's smart.
Super smart. She is super smart. So,
Well, I
any
know
questions?
These services are needed, commissioners, and I think for once we have a program, a criminal, a CJC program, and so it's going to be an amazing new umbrella, I think so.
And I had to think about people like Brittany and people, the sheriff department. It had to be a whole team. It wasn't like what I thought would be good or whoever. As we said on those meetings, we knew that just because we had a desire something like this, that we need um, everybody to be on board. And she made special trip one time, seemed like around Thanksgiving or something. She came, it was snowing, and we had a meeting, and it was I call it a miracle meeting because we all came kind of together and decided to accept. I mean, she was giving us an amazing gift, and I started thinking, yeah, we can paint the buildings, and she said, we can do more than painting, and I don't know what's going on with the remodeling, but that was what she's offering us was
Yeah.
really good.
She has a lot of one-time money right now that I'm trying to tap into. I've sent several requests of different items that I'd like to see us be able to accomplish. No approvals yet, but we're working on it.
That's good. Thank you.
So,
Very good.
Make a motion, we approve this.
Motion by Commissioner Adams
Contract.
to
I'll
approve
second
the
it.
contract. Commissioner Stubbs seconds the motion. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's 3 in favor. Votes
To
unanimous.
the county.
Got an approved contract, Robert.
good deal.
You lived here all the time, or you new?
I live in Moab,
Okay.
but commute over here every day. So
Okay,
it's
well-
been a good deal for me.
It's
Well, other than the driving.
nice
other than
weather
that.
over here.
Yeah, it is so much nicer over here in terms of the weather. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our next item, Matt.
Okay, this next one is consideration and approval for the Emergency Medical Service Providers Agreement between San Juan County and Regis Blue Cross Blue Shield. This one here is kind of an interesting agreement where, and I hope this it doesn't start to be standard practice, but in the ambulance world with our EMS, if we pick up a patient who has this insurance, this is our agreement with that insurance agency of kind of what we can claim and on our actions, our notice of privacy. Let me see what this warning is.
So the meeting ended?
No, hold on, I don't know. I hope not. Might have to jump back in there if it gives me an error. So crazy. Technology gets in the way.
There it is.
No, it's still connected on there. All right. As long as we're being picked up and broadcasted, it's still got a box there. So back to my speech. We received this one from Blue Cross Blue Shield. It kind of gives us the standards of privacy and what we can do with the patient. I think throughout the state of Utah, speaking to our billing company, there's some big concerns with just the way the insurance companies are going. They're kind of coming back to us and telling us, okay, here's how you have to bill us, and this is what you can bill for, this is what we'll pay. And that's kind of normal with insurance, where, if you have a procedure, the insurance company will tell you, well, we will only pay this amount of money for this type of procedure. But never before have we seen these. I have never seen these with the actual ambulance ride itself. Usually it's take care of the individual, get them to the nearest hospital, and then after the ambulance ride, it's all taken care of, through their medical stay. One of the things that that caught the attention of not only our billing agent that does all of our billing for us. So if you think of on the billing side of it, as an individual is transported on the ambulance, then we start kind of a checklist of all of the items that we use on the ambulance for that patient's care till we get to the hospital. One of the things on the reimbursement, let me find it for you. It's page 28 of this fund agreement. Statewide, we're kind of concerned with insurance agencies just kind of brokering their own deal and coming back and telling us what they're going to pay for and what they're not. Let's see here. I'm almost there. So on page 28. So when you look at the reimbursement section, the maximum allowable for covered services shall be the lesser of allowable billed charges or the maximum ambulance rates. I looked in the maximum ambulance rates. Oddly enough, we haven't adjusted our rates here since 2017, and so I'm working with staff, and so say for example a widget on the market is now $50 per widget. We're still back at the 2017 widget rate, and so we haven't adjusted those, and so I'll work with staff to bring you a new market rate sheet that, if we buy something off of Amazon, nowadays today's prices are this. So we've been kind of discounting, I would say, since 2017 all of these things that we can bill, and so we'll make some adjustments for that. But in the supplies on here, and this is what kind of concerns us as far as EMS providers throughout the state. It's like all required supplies, including but not limited to disposable gloves, tapes, bandages, syringes, specialized BLS and ALS disposable supplies. That's your monitor system. The IV drug therapy, intubation, oxygen, and oxygen supplies are not separately reimbursable. And so this is the big concern. I mean, imagine you're in an ambulance and they're not going to reimburse us for disposable gloves and tape. These are commonly applied. And so the state is kind of concerned with, we're starting to see that where these insurance companies don't want to reimburse for those costs. I mean, who else? If it's the patient's care and you've got to use tape on it, if you got to intubate, if you got to use oxygen, these insurance providers are coming back and say, well, we're not going to reimburse you for that. You have to cover that cost on your own. So there's a lot of things like that in the insurance world that they say that there's after COVID, they're starting to get a little bit more nitpickier. And so the state's fully aware of this clause in this. All of the EMS entities throughout the state of Utah, we pretty much have to sign this document. But I wanted to just put it in your memory as we speak to the state legislators, making sure that we fight this back with the insurance agencies, because I can understand a one-off medication that we have here that we're using and an insurance company not paying that because we're not using the generic. That makes sense. But disposable gloves, tape, things like that we would commonly use on our ambulance, they won't reimburse for. So we're concerned, state's concerned, we're fighting that. But in the meantime, we do have to sign this agreement or we would not be able to bill any medical patient that we transport through Blue Cross Blue Shield. Would have to pretty much eat those costs.
We just use a taxi then,
Yes, and don't use gloves or anything on them. And there's just it doesn't make sense.
Any oxygen.
Don't give
us a credit card first.
Yes, and that's not right. And so
tell them to keep using the same pair of gloves.
I know, just to reuse somebody's tape. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. And so there's a lot of questions in here that we're trying to work through. And the state, like I had mentioned, they're all over this as well, trying to figure out what Blue Cross Blue Shield is doing. But I hope we don't see common practice that any insurance agency is going to try to broker their own type of agreement with counties. So other than that, just kind of a heads up, but this is something that we do have to adhere to. The ambulance staff will have a copy of this so that they also know, just on the tracking. The company that does our billing with the county, I met with them last week. They are super invested in the county and making sure that we're successful as well as the billing is successful. And so they're taking a look at these. They gave us a heads up a couple of months ago about this. And so we wanted to put it on you to get that finalized approval on the agreement, but with that acknowledgement that there's some work that we need to do in the future with providers such as this.
Okay, we have to approve it, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve it based on the fact that we be sure we get a credit card from every patient we have.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
just approve it.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Adams.
I'll second it.
A second by Commissioner Stubbs. Right, let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 It's 3 in favor. It's unanimously approved. Moving on to our last item.
Okay, on item 16, consideration and approval of the membership for payroll deduct only agreement between AirMed Care Network and San Juan County. This is a benefit renewal. We've offered the AirMed Care Network cards to our employees throughout the past. In here, it kind of gives those costs that they would charge for membership fees. So if an employee chooses to enlist in the AirMed Care program, then it's $70 a year. And so you can kind of see the
So
prices
that is something that for all employees, for everyone.
for the employees. So the employees would sign up for
They
this.
choose it.
Yeah, well, we have that insurance.
I have that, yes,
Yeah,
as
we
well.
have it, but I just pay whatever.
Yeah, it was interesting when I first came to the county, I was advised that you want to sign up for the AirMed, and you also want to sign up for the classic membership, because if you have to be flown out, it's going to be one of the other, and the costs to fly an individual out are so extremely high that if you have this membership, then it's a reduced cost. And so we do want to continue to offer this for our employees, and we just have to go through.
Basically, anybody that ends up in the hospital, I don't know how Monticello is, and Blonding, they're flown out. It's almost guaranteed they're gonna get flown out.
Yeah, similar to Monticello.
And it, some of those $30,000, $40,000 trips.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. But other than that, that's kind of what this is just continue that benefit program, or as our employees sign up for this, it's deducted from
And it's
there.
optional, right?
Yes, it is optional.
Yeah.
These
Make
are
a
just
motion
locks
to
in the
approve it.
fees.
Approve that option.
Motion by Commissioner Adams.
I'll second.
Commissioner Stubbs seconds. Let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 in favor. Motion carries unanimously to approve the membership for payroll deduct only agreement between AirMed Care Network and the county. That's it, huh?
If I have to be flown out, I'm gonna use Max insurance.
Hey, we can't use gloves or tape or oxygen on you.
That is so expensive.
Commissioners, how would you like to do the report? Should we just move forward? Or do
No,
you-
let's have a report.
Let's have a
I
report.
wanna hear about Tampa.
Okay, well, fine.
You can start, Commissioner Harvey.
I will start then. Yeah. So Mac and I were able to go to the National Association of Counties to attend the conference there. I think the most exciting news for our county is that our county has been selected for the economic is it a development grant?
Economic mobility grant.
Economic mobility grant. What that means is we're going to have a lot of support to come up with a strategic plan to help enhance how we would like to, I guess, stimulate more growth in our county.
From locals.
And it's really an exercise to navigate and utilize tools that are available at the federal level. And yesterday, before we left, we were orientated on how we're able to access federal data through certain, I think it's the census one that we were able to navigate through to look into our county's average income and education, I think was one of those. There's 3 systems that we're going to be looking through, 3 separate systems. We have access to other counties' summaries on what successes they've been able to accomplish within their county to stimulate economic growth. So I think the next months moving forward, there's going to be a series of meetings to give direction to our county on how we want to move on creating our plan and identifying I think it's really just the gaps, right, Mac? And determining an ultimate plan in the end. So that was the big announcement. I think there was 10 recipients, and our county was one of those 10 that nationally were selected. So there's a really great cause to celebrate. We also voted for our second vice president for NACO, and there was two contenders. And so I think the Utah folks all talked about the most appropriate use of our vote, and I'm pretty confident we all voted together to select the next. I think his name is Joe, who I know everyone's relying on his perspective because he's very familiar. He's from Montana, if I remember correctly.
Is it Biggs, Joe Biggs?
Yep, Joe
Yeah,
Biggs.
Joe Biggs keeps
Yeah.
it on the west.
And he's very familiar with the public lands and the challenges that counties face there. So
Good.
I'm pretty confident for our state, we all voted together for him. So I haven't heard anything about the results yet, but I'm sure within the next few days we will hear about that. I think for the most part, the biggest gain for me and Mac is just really engaging with the other national counties and kind of defining the federal relationship that the county has and being able to advocate together at a national level. And we were able to talk about different programs such as there was the internet for all. For me, I attended the health committee because I'm sitting on that. In fact, I need to confirm with Brandy that I'd like to continue. But there were some health priorities for the county or for all counties that were elevated to the federal level. If you ask me what those 10 points were, I won't be able to recite them to you, but we have a lengthy document. It's like 30, it's a booklet really, of the points that all counties want to advocate for. One of those, for example, is being able to get a pause for folks that are incarcerated. The normal practice for folks that have been on Medicaid and become incarcerated was their benefits would terminate just because they offended. But now the idea is, instead of terminating just because of their actions, let's just pause, and when they're released, allow them to requalify and access those services that are available to them on Medicaid. And when they're on Medicaid, they're able to access mental health services, health care services. And I think everyone is learning that recidivism and preventing recidivism for people who go into prisons and jails is focusing on getting them off their feet, giving them the supports they need, the wraparound team they need, so that they are successful and that they're contributing back to society, and that they're able to contribute back into society, rehabilitate through the use of mental health services, and become a contributing member of society, as opposed to they're released, they have no coverage, they can't access housing, they can't access Medicaid and the services that are there for them, and they continue that struggle. And because they can't get anywhere, they just go back. So I think there's this new mentality that let's get focus on bringing wraparound services to them, and that's just one example of the priorities that the Health Committee talked about during our conversation of what we want to elevate. I remember another item which was talking about women's access to, I think it was their own health, not reproductive health, but allowing women access to better care, health care in regards to maternal care. That's what it is. Making sure that they are supported with medication, with physician services, with specialty services, and really just eliminating any barriers that may exist if their pregnancy is going to be a health challenge for their child, or even themselves. Just really focusing on that nutrition phase for mother and child, those just enhancing that for mothers and maternal care. So that's another example of the priorities that was talked about in past. It's like going to an organization that feeds you a lot of information through a fire hose, because I came back with a lot of literature. The bag they gave me had a purpose, and it's filled with a lot of literature. And so I've got a lot of information coming back that we should be disseminating among one another. But I really feel that the conference just had a wealth of information, and it really helps to define our role as counties, and understanding that federal, state, and county relationship, and kind of following the money trail. I think for me, my biggest gain was understanding that the federal government funds the state, and when counties want to create effective programs, they need to understand what federal funds come to the state and how to access those, working through each of the state's department to be part of those conversations, and really having that open line of communication with the states who receive these federal dollars to make sure that if we have particular needs that are available through a state program that receives federal dollars, we're at that table making clear whether or not the state is reaching successfully in our county, or if there's gaps that exist that we need to present to them so that they're aware, and that they change the programming so that they can address the needs that exist for services and programs in our county. So that was kind of a new paradigm shift for me, because usually, we're looking for places to make changes when it's really just upstream with the states and the administrations that are there. So anyhow, that was the biggest gain, I think, for NACO. Got to use Uber a lot. And so other than the nice rain, and I think we brought it back with us, I think that was a big gains for me with NACO. Coming up this week, I do have a community or a Criminal Justice Coordinating Council schedule in Window Rock. It is available by video link. We're going to be sitting down with the Navajo Nation. The Law and Order Committee building is where we will be. We're sitting down with Commissioner, Council Delegate Herman Daniels and Council Delegate Curtis Unito, and we're going to be talking about our plan that we want to create for this year, the needs list that we want to establish for our county, and we want to have the nation's input in the legislative ask that we want to submit through UAC to our legislatures. And I think the biggest need for our county, specifically with the nation's input, is cross-deputization and finding solutions to make that happen. And so I'm sure that's going to be part of our conversation. Another conversation piece in our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is being able to share data. We have so many systems in our county and so many programs. They all have their individual pathways on where their data goes, but we're not able to reconcile the information into one so that we have a clear picture of information that is available. So we're hoping to solve those problems so that when we're asking the legislature, the federal government, we're not shooting in the dark, but asking based on the data and taking the data to present the need, and taking the data, the need to request for funds to get these programs to work for our citizens in our county. So that's coming up on Friday. I did attend the Navajo Utah Commission meeting last week at Red Mesa chapter last week on Wednesday. I forget the date. And that meeting was a very critical meeting. The big discussion there was Navajo Nation Department of Transportation. I know that a lot of the roads that are down south on the Navajo reservation, they have a need to have better roads, and I think the biggest gap for the leaders down south is the county's current agreement with Navajo Nation Department of Transportation. Not only are the leaders, the elected leaders of the tribe, not aware that the county hasn't received the funding for the past 2 years, but that the current contract that exists with the county and Navajo Nation Department of Transportation only allows movement of dirt on the surface of the road. That's it. And so I think there was a lot of education for the leaders there, clarifying to all the leaders that if we want to just not only move dirt, then we're going to need your advocacy to talk about the current contract that NDOT has with the county to negotiate. Let's allow the county to replace culverts. Let's allow the county to haul dirt and put them where they need to be filled. Let's allow the county to haul gravel and access gravel to place them on the roads that need them, and allow the county to do more than just moving dirt back and forth on the road. And I think that was an enlightenment for the leaders there, because they needed to know that. Because in their minds, they're faulting everyone, when really it's a matter of language and agreeing to changes in the contract. So I think that knowledge has been well received, and it's something that's in the hearts and minds of the leaders. And I believe through our administrator, we have a scheduled date coming up in July. I believe it's the 29th, where we will be going down to Window Rock to sit down at the Navajo Nation Department of Transportation office to talk about the contract. And I'm pretty sure the elected leaders will follow us down there, and they will voice those concerns. So that's probably a lot of information, too much talk from me, so I'm going to stop now. You asked for it, Commissioner, so there's my report. Who would like to go next?
Well, I can just say, Jamie, if you can get even one of those things done with Navajo Department of Transportation, I think I'll nominate you to be president. Because that is the most difficult group of people to work with on the face of the earth, is NDOT.
Mm-hmm.
They won't allow, I thought EPA was difficult to work with, but NDOT is the most difficult by far. Anyway, so a couple of things just to put on your radar. The 5th of August is the beginning of our county fair. That lasts from Monday to Saturday. The concert is on Thursday. Chris Cagle is the concert. And if you need tickets to that, you need to contact Anna. And
Anna Adair, what's her last name now?
what?
It's Anna Adair.
Fredericks?
What is her?
Her name's Anna Fredericks.
Anna,
If you want tickets, let me know and I can work with her to get
She
them.
was an Adair.
that's
Yep.
what I mean. I was trying to remember
Yep.
her Mary.
We have a Navajo taco dinner, I think, Monday night. It's a fundraiser for the wrestling team. They put on a dinner. They have something going every day, pretty much all day. We have new hookups for people that want to bring trailers and set them up down there. I don't think there's any charges.
Nope, not this year.
First come, first serve. So
We are so good at giving away.
it'll be
Gina.
Yeah, we just got to get it broken.
One of these days.
Yeah.
the other thing. Let's see. So next week, Monday through Thursday, I'll be traveling to Louisville, Kentucky for our annual USIP training. And USIP picks up that bill, so It's not a big cost to the county, but we're flying out at 6 a.m. on Monday. Means I gotta get out of bed about 4 in the morning to go to the airport, which I don't have any trouble. It's just that traveling companion of mine.
Yeah, we
So
Brian's just smiling in case I will add something.
Totally, huh?
No, we appreciate those companions.
And let's see, I thought there was one other thing on my calendar. We're in walking distance of the Churchill Downs.
Oh,
They
perfect.
already had the Kentucky Derby.
I know that's too bad. I'd still go though.
But I'm hoping they're
Yeah.
having some horse races so we can go see. Can buy my wife one of those big
Big
boxes.
big old
Make
hats.
sure you take a hat.
Yep.
She needs a
Oh
beautiful
no, you
hat.
gotta buy it.
Yep.
No, just take
$100.
those hats. I used to watch the train in my country. Used to pass the race as we go in the train. We could see the race and the
Friday,
beautiful.
August 22nd, or August 2nd, is the Utah State University groundbreaking in Monument Valley
Okay.
of the new Utah State building.
Can I ask a question? You know, there's so many events that I should go, but if Commissioner Harvey goes, then it's,
You can go.
I know, but what I said is sometimes we need to clarify when we are, where we can go and where we cannot go.
So where it's not a,
Like
it's
Saturday
not.
meeting like that.
Yeah, it's not a
Commission, the
meeting.
Navajo Commission.
It's an event,
Okay,
and
that's an event. So
you
the
can have
Navajo-
a quorum at an event. You're not there to discuss business. You're
Okay,
not.
so if we go to the Navajo Commission meeting, which I
Mhm.
haven't been able, I don't go because it's,
That one's a little one because that one pertains. You're discussing county business, and you get
I know, and then it's
directions. Yeah,
half, it's half the district that doesn't get represented
Yeah,
because of that
yeah,
setup, and so
yeah. One, you're able to go to the events. The other one
okay,
is
so we have to
business.
have parties so I can go.
Yeah. Perfect. You can go to the parties.
That's all I'll have, I need to report.
Okay, with me, I'll start with last week I went to the 7 County Commission, and you know our main project, the 7 County Commission had to do with the railroad, and now we have made it to the Supreme Court, and they're gonna hear us a presentation where we're gonna be able to, and they did, you know, talk about it. You learn lots of lawyer language in those commission meetings. They're talking about we had to find some amicus, people that support the project, and there's some, it's tough time making decision right now on how we're gonna proceed, but it's lots of good news that we got that far. There was also another way that we were trying to go is through legislature. Anyway, so that's kind of an exciting news because I always keep hoping if it's something like that work for the intent, I can see that working for San Juan County. You
So
know,
they
but-
want an amicus from San Juan County?
No, they don't, because it costs money. I asked if they would accept the one, and they says they're very expensive. And somebody had to write it, and it costs pretty penny. And so basically, it's just kind of updated because I think if that goes through, it'll be beneficial to San Juan County because someday probably we could use that railroad to move sheeps and move all kinds of stuff, you know, and bring stuff. Anyway, and also the report from the engineers, they're working with Halchida, with the water rights, trying to work in Halchida. And the other thing that I do when I come back from that, I stop here for the planning and zoning meeting, and it's interesting to see how, how things are moving along with the planning and zoning, and also we had a couple of airports run away trying to, and we did approve what kind of license they call it for Emmer, and he'll be able to have his business, and he'll capture tourist business, and that I think he'd been working so hard on that to have that. It was just really good.
That's really awesome.
So
He's
anyway,
excited.
and then I have been working with the Southeastern Utah Museum of American West, and Jerry Guyman, he is the main person in charge, and I just went and saw what he's trying to do. And he has something, a property in the county that he has kind of like a walk museum type of thing, and one in Blanding. And the thing I was able to help is when I went, he said they would need a dirt, and I went and found some dirt, and it had lots of dirt. Now I working with the college to have the students come and practice their heavy equipment. And my thing is, I just trying to facilitate things within the communities, and people say, well, how can you do blending? Well, I started with blending, and I started with a project, the splash pad, and I've been to the city council 2 times, and I'm going the 3rd time on Tuesday, and so that'll be my biggest project, trying to have everything in order, because last time when I went to the presentation, I should have checked my packet, and something was left out, and it was kind of, I had to fake it. But anyway, so I got some work to do for me to be prepared, because I think probably this is the last time they'll appear there, and they had questions about, how people feel about the splash pad, and I had called many cities and to find out. Families and children love the splash pad. Administrators hate the splash pad. But then I learned they hate other things. Any building that have been constructed with grant, they don't like, because then they have to figure out how to maintain it. And the system I was following was one from Central Valley by Monroe, Utah. And you recycle the water, and you have to test it, and that would be more expensive. So I went back to researching, and there's another system where the water goes to a tank and then use the water for watering the lawn. So that's a presentation I'm gonna go and show them, and so we'll see. See if that goes through. It's through our part is through our grant from San Juan County Clean Energy, and I have appealed before them twice, and this last time they still have some questions, and I got a letter from Mark, so I think his last name, the head of a company, and saying that he wanted me to they're gonna wait for me to try again, and so that was kind of and encourage other people to apply for grants, and so I helped 2 people, and we'll see how it goes with those projects. My thing is, we need a county to grow, and if that can be assistant to people in the cities where we can grow. We need population, like in Blanding, we have lost lots of people our age, either they're moving with their children, moving away, or they're dying. And so we're not seeing the replacement. And so I don't know how Monticello, if Monticello had the same situation, but, and if something contagious happened in downtown Blanding, somebody fixed one building and then they're all painting. I mean, they just buying paint and painting and just a can of paint make it look so much better. We just have to figure out how to fix the sidewalks and do other things to make it. But anyway, thank you. And I guess I want to one more thing. Another thing I had done this past week is lots of crying. And I cried to me, this is not politics. To me, this is citizenship. Seeing, watching something on TV, it could have been, that for a few seconds as I was there watching, it was very disturbing. And then, along with that, we had a member of community lose his life to suicide, and a son of Brian's cousin also suicide. And I thought, we are living in different kinds of times, and sometimes we don't realize what kind of burden we have. And sometimes we have the tendency to just see our burden and trying to blame it on everybody else. And I think we, as a nation, as a county, as a working together, I think we need to start giving the benefit of doubt to people that probably don't have the whole story. We don't know what they're going through. And sometimes just a good morning or a nice something can change the perspective. Suicide is one of the hardest things that happened to a family. It happened to us when our son committed suicide. It's changed just about all of our perspective in life as we deal with, we still happen many, many years and we still kind of see the residues. And for me, what it did for me, I used to be so impatient because the stores were closed at 6 hours and the lady in the cash register was talking too much to this other lady. And I thought, you're going to close the store and I'm not going to buy. And then after that, I thought maybe that person, they're cheering each other. Maybe that would prevent them from feeling they don't have anybody. And so I think we had to become more taking time to make it better for each other as we come to work. I don't know, but we are planning to have an event for a fall event. We had it in Blondie last year, and this year we're gonna have it here in Monticello. And it would be nice we all can come together as a family and not be. Last year, people wanted to know if they could pay overtime, and then I was thinking, okay, how we pay overtime for coming to a park? I don't know, but I hope everybody can come, and we can gather together and start building resilience, because sometimes we probably, I would say for sure, everybody is dealing with something, because this life is not a piece of cake. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stubbs and Commissioner Adams, for your report. I wasn't aware of that, Commissioner Stubbs, so thank you for making me aware of that. But you're right. Maybe just some extra time to say hello and acknowledge each other is part of that key. And just remembering to say something kind and encouraging to each other. All right. I think that concludes our agenda. Unless, commissioners, we want to sit here and enjoy some more time together
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Adams,
And I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Stubbs. Okay, all those in favor to adjourn our meeting?
Aye.
Aye, 3 in favor. We are adjourned at 1:50 p.m. Thank you, commissioners. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Enjoy the heat. Be safe out there. And be kind to each other.
And go kill the morning glories.
Kill the morning glories and fix those obnoxious weeds. I need to educate myself on that. So.
Yeah. Now we get